Hi, I'm Kiwi.
And I'm Jarad.
And I'm Rob.
And we are the two gentlemen, coming to you with an extra gentleman. Rob, how are you?
I'm good. I've got to admit, though, I don't get called a gentleman much. I've got to admit,
welcome to the club.
You know, strange and odd, and some other names that I can't disclose or repeat because Jarad told me to ease up on my expletives.
Well, I thought the beep button might be used a little too much if you got into it. But
wear that button out sometimes.
Welcome, mate. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for the invitation.
Yeah. No, it was. Of course, it was. We want to get into the realm of having a chat to different people and basically see what everyone's up to. And you know, we've talked for many episodes, and I thought it was about time we bring some new voices onto the microphone and see what the rest of the world are doing.
And I guess I'm representing a different side of you that you don't really talk about much on this podcast.
I have mentioned it. Yep. So what Rob is talking about is I have spent a bit of time paranormal investigating. So that came from for the love of history, and then I ended up on a paranormal investigating team, research team. And, you know, I figured, you know, once as football was ending, I needed some adrenaline. So going into the dark, into haunted locations was a good thing. And, that's where I met Rob. So
2014, I think it was.
Yeah. Jeez. So this is why we've got Rob on. He's a man of many talents, but one is the paranormal investigating. We've spent a lot of time in the dark. I don't know how that comes over, but you've hugged me many times, and I've done the same.
Yeah.
There's been some moments where it's a bit scary in the dark there for two grown men, but
but
we've had some good times, and we just wanted to get you on and have a chat about, you know, paranormal investigating and see where it led. You've also got quite a history in you know, you've made a movie in the past, and you've your history with cryptids, and you can explain a bit of that a bit later. But Kiwi, what do you think, mate? Have we got our good first guest here?
I'm very much looking forward to this. I come from a totally different background.
Yeah.
But like anybody, I've grown up watching ghost movies and wanting to get scared. I guess it's just part of us. We like the adrenaline rush.
Yeah.
By the way, this is perfect timing for Halloween. Halloween was yesterday, by the way, everyone. So
Yeah.
if we'd done this 1 week earlier, it would have been perfect.
Yeah.
But Rob, I'd like you to tell us about yourself. All of our listeners know about Jarad and me, but please introduce yourself, Rob.
Well, look, my name's Rob the Wolfman Wilson. Look, unlike most people in the paranormal field have had some kind of experience that has led them down the rabbit hole of investigating. That sparked the interest. For me, I'm just like a weird bloke that likes weird things. And to know that there's weird stuff out there that can't be explained, really, it fills a void, gets me excited.
Yeah.
Like we explained before, I started investigating in 2014. My fiance actually got me my first ghost tour ticket. It was in the mountains somewhere, Blue Mountain somewhere. I can't remember where it was. Anyway, and at that ghost tour, there was a team that Jarad was a part of. Our paranormal leader, old paranormal boss, invited me along to do some footage with him. You heard I did a independent movie once. That's how it all pretty much started for me. I had a mate. I did security at that time at a shopping centre. Sparked up a friendship with this guy called Justin Costello. He did movies before. He did independent movies. He did shows. He did ads. And me loving cryptids and stuff like that, which is, I should explain what a cryptid is. So by definition, cryptid is pretty much an animal or a creature not explored by science or defined by science, like your Bigfoots and your sea monsters and stuff like that.
Right.
So yeah, love the Bigfoot and all that. So I thought, let's do a movie about the Yowie. You know, man, and it was kind of like a paranormal activity type thing. and there was like a static camera during the night and on the campsite and stuff like that. Anyway, so we're going to say Craig. Our old paranormal boss's name is Craig. We're going to have to say his name multiple times. So he's invited me along because he's heard that I've done movies and blah, blah, blah. So I started helping him out doing GV footage and all that kind of thing and B-roll footage on web series. And then he said, look, we've got a special project coming up. Need your help with. I said, fine. And that project was Cockatoo Island. Mm-hmm. So I was lucky enough to spend my first 2 years camped out almost every weekend on Cockatoo Island, trying to gather evidence to start tours.
And that, if you don't know, is just the history in that place is phenomenal.
It's got multiple layers.
I mean, I'm not going to do it justice, but from going back to convict days and up until the 90s, I think it was decommissioned the island. But it served the world wars. Was like the ships would come in there. There was it was convict. It was prison. Even I think there was some prison.
So I started off being a convict prison, reforms to a school for girls, a convict prison again, and then it's a naval dockyard.
Yeah.
So I might be missing one or two, but that's the major things.
The life that went through that place and the energy that went through that place.
And it's extremely haunted.
So
we found out.
So Rob, can I ask you?
Yeah.
You said you were there to gather evidence.
Yes.
What does evidence look like in the paranormal field?
Well, it depends. It depends on the person. This is the thing about evidence, though. You can show somebody a picture. You can show someone a video. You can, even if it's a ghost, walking up to your camera, saying hi, my name is Fred. People still wouldn't really believe it because they're not there, right? Mm-hmm. And trust me, most of the time, all you're going to get is ridicule and be called a faker. Mm-hmm. Like, it hasn't really happened to me, but I've seen it happen to a lot of other people. And that's one of the reasons why I started Ghost Territory Tours.
Okay, let's start at the fundamentals.
Yes.
Do you believe in ghosts?
I believe there's something there after we pass away. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's the end. I think we live on in some way, but there's no real definition about ghosts, so, you can't really answer that question definitively because there's no... The paranormal is all based on theories.
So when you say the place is haunted...
Yes.
Define haunted.
Well, you can't really because it's... What do you think? Jarad?
I'm not going to jump into too much, but I think for me it's experiences, people having experiences. Yeah. So for me it's energy left behind. Not even left behind. A place can be, this will sound weird, but something can be haunted by somebody that's still alive. I'll give it a little explanation there that we spent a lot of time at Maitland Jail investigating there. Now that's closed. That jail closed down in early 2000s, maybe, or I could be wrong. But sorry for all the Maitland Jail lovers out there. But we walked past Ivan Milat's cell and walked into Ivan Milat's old cell. Ivan Milat was alive at that point, and the energy in that cell, even before I knew it was Ivan Milat's cell, you could almost feel that, like. You can almost feel the air get thicker, and you're like, "Oh, something's in here." And then you find out who it was, and it was, Australia's worst serial killer, or however it kind of hit me for six because I'm like, "Well, the guy's alive in Grafton, not in Goulburn Jail, So why am I feeling that energy? But it's something that it's imprinted in. So a haunting could be something imprinted into the environment.
Okay.
But there's different. They sort of, that might be a residual sort of thing.
It's a very broad question. It is. There's no definition of ghosts, so there can't be really a definition for hauntings. No. If you get what I'm saying.
Well, what have you experienced at Cockatoo Island that made you feel, whoa, this is haunted?
Have we got 3 hours? No.
So give us an
But that's a lot of time.
So this is the thing. Predominantly, we're in two buildings. Building number 2, which was an officers' quarters. It was locked off at that stage. It still is. They run tours through there now, but at that stage, nobody went in there. It was locked all the time, except for when we went in there.
Pretty bad condition.
The floorboard was gone. There was no power to the building. And inside that building, I saw lights flashing in the dark, like camera flashing in multiple rooms, multiple heights, sometimes different colours, and
So the lights you're talking about too, put a bit of context in it. It's like you're in pitch black, and it's like if someone set a camera off, and the flash went off.
That's the best way to explain it.
Instantaneous, but it wasn't just like you couldn't see where the source was coming from. It was just the whole house lit up.
Bam.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, the times that I were there, it was all about trying to, what we call debunk it. Trying to say, okay, let's work out, was it a torch? Was it this? Was it headlights from the, not headlights, lights from a, because we're on an island. But
You can still see cars like in the mainland.
But there's no light source that could light up. And there's still photography of that moment. So there was video taken of that moment, those moments. And then, the video was paused and there's no like stronger part of the room that's lit up. Like there's no, what I'm saying is if it's coming from a source, the area would have more light.
Yes.
And then that part of the room would have less light, or there'd be shadows, or there was no shadows.
No. So there was this uniform lighting of the entire place, and then black again.
Yeah.
It was quick. Like a camera flash.
Yeah, like a camera flash. I suppose that's probably the best way you could describe it. So it wasn't just, is that a little light floating around? It was like, and this building had no power. There was no reason for it to light up. And it wasn't light bulb light anyway. It was bright.
Yeah.
It was blinding almost. But it was instant. It was like, straight away, it was real quick. But, it's an experience, and that's what when people say and I'm going to answer, but when people say what a haunting is, it's an experience. Nobody can take that away, and say you didn't have that. Now, what that was, that could be anything.
Mate, well, see the word ghost, the word haunting, it really does vary from person to person, investigator to investigator.
People who have the psychic ability can be sitting here with us right now and be like, oh, there's somebody here. Like, us three are oblivious to it. But is that a haunting? Or is that an experience? Or is that just somebody who's crazy? Like, and this subject is taboo.
What do you mean?
I don't think it's taboo.
Well, taboo...
in Australia it is. Like, compared to America, I spent some time in America doing some of the hotspots, haunted hotspots. They just throw the keys at you.
Yeah.
They love it there.
Yeah.
Totally different. Here you got to pay $1,200.
And then sign waivers.
Sign this and sign that.
But it is like, okay, stereotypes, Rob, and it's something that I have a strong feel about. I do it, right? I investigate the paranormal, but I don't, like, sometimes you say that to people and they think, oh, well, you're into that. You must worship the devil, or you're into the dark arts, or where's your trench coat? You've got this, like, people think it's like a horror film, like you're into that sort of stuff. But mate, you know me, and people who are listening know me. I'm regular job, regular family. I grew up playing footy. Love to drink at the pub. Like, I'm not like I don't have that stereotypical or what people think.
Yeah.
Someone who researches paranormal,
I think like going back to Australia being a taboo, like a lot of people's exposure in Australia are like Hollywood movies and stuff like that.
Well,
so let's so let's assume it's bad or it's scary or something like that.
Yeah. But I mean, you look at, like, I look at it and you can expand on this. People are like, there's all these people, and if we're talking about somebody, a haunting or a spirit or a person coming back, if that's the case, there's not many bad people in the world. Like, most people are pretty good. Like, so you're talking to a person that's not here. If that's what you believe in, then you're talking to a person that's not here. The majority of the time is going to be just someone nice, like, and if you treat them with respect like you would treat anyone else, I don't think, the energy that's left behind isn't going to be aggressive.
But again, like, we're getting a bit deeper into this.
Yeah,
I'm a firm believer that what you experience is it relates to your own energy, what you bring,
what you put out.
I've seen bad things happen with people that are a bit more negative in their mindsets. That's all the bad stuff I've experienced myself. since we've started a new group, nothing bad's really happened because none of those type of people are with us.
But running tours, you're gonna risk, or do you feel like you don't know who's coming into these tours?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, so, you don't know what they experienced 5 minutes earlier, let alone their whole life. So the negative energy that somebody could bring in from past experiences, can that have an effect on your tours? Like,
yeah, definitely. But you can't control that at all, can you? Really?
So so that's a snapshot to somebody come. Yeah, okay. So, but I mean, do you feel endangered? Like, do you feel like, oh, geez, somebody could bring something into me?
You know very, very well what I've been through. I've been through some serious stuff. So the most common question I get, right? We get lots of common questions, but for me, this is the most common I get. What's the most scariest thing you've experienced, right? Yep. Were you going to ask me something like that?
I sure was.
So here you go.
Do you want to ask?
So, Rob, just thinking, what's the scariest thing you've ever experienced?
Good question there. Where'd you come from?
What a segue. So, the scariest... He can attest to this. When things happen, most of the time, I'm like a 3-year-old at Toys R Us. Right? I'm very excited. And it's evolved. They sort of use my energy, and I sort of amp up my own. It's bizarre. Jarad saw it on Saturday night. I charge like I've had like 10 Red Bulls. My energy is so high, and I pace and I go backwards and forwards. But going back to the question, going back to the question, the scariest thing for me, especially the first few times I've seen it, is when you look into a friend's eyes and it's not your friend anymore. That's the scariest thing for me, and I've seen it multiple times. I've had to deal with it myself multiple times. You wouldn't say possession. Some people say it's possession. Some people say attachments. But these people I knew were not the same people. Sometimes it's in and out. Like their face would change, their eyes would change. Not terribly, nothing weird.
Yeah.
But just their demeanour, their face, their expressions, and they almost look at me through somebody else's eyes.
Is this happening on a tour, or is this
just... this is investigating.
Okay, during an investigation.
Yeah.
So you're already part of that whole environment. You're already kind of amped. In that sense. Now, we're talking about experiences. That's what you call a haunting, Jarad. Experiences are subjective.
Oh, yeah. Like anything else, yeah.
Now, I'll tell you a silly story. I was at a football game back in 2006, and my team was leading 20 points to 6. And this was at the Sydney Football Stadium, so imagine it's full of people. But I was with the mate, one of our best mates, and we were like, it's this eerie feeling. And so we're up 20 to 6, and we lost 37 to 20.
Yep.
Didn't score another point in the game. But for some reason, we're like, this is... I don't know,
something doesn't feel right.
Yeah, something not right here. Yeah. Now, that doesn't mean anything, of course. I mean, I'm one of, thousands of spectators. I had a tiny little feeling, but it's completely subjective. I'm sure there were people out there going for that team who were ecstatic, going, yeah, we're up 20 to 6.
That's bizarre.
But how do you... Like, that... Saying what Kiwi just said there kind of rings something to me, is like your gut feeling. Yeah. So one thing that I'm not, like, I haven't got a scientific mind. I don't do something I don't really want to do, but I'm happy to experience things, right? So I get into these places, and Rob can probably sort of agree that he's seen me do this, and you walk into a room and you've got a feeling. So that, to me, what you explained is similar, that you both just had this like, this doesn't feel right.
And we used the word eerie at the time before anything happened.
And it shouldn't have been eerie. You're in the middle of a football stadium with 20,000 people watching a game of rugby league.
Teams up by that much.
But you both had this like, whatever you want to call it, this thought. And they're the type of tools that we use. Like, we've got all these little flashy devices that go off and with EMF and that. And to me, that they don't mean much.
Yeah.
Like,
just toys.
For a TV show or for a tour, for people that knew oh wow, that flashed and it shouldn't have flashed, but I'm not going to tell you how it flashed. Like, I don't know. Like,
we don't know.
you know, like, yes, that shouldn't flash without someone touching it and it's flashing, but I didn't build it.
Yeah, yeah.
But I know myself, and I use but it's, like I said, it's subjective. It's my experiences. And going back to what Rob said, you can I shouldn't say produce. You can show the best evidence, and then you can be told you've produced that, you know, or you've created that, or you're lying, or it's fake, you know. And you're like, well, I can't prove it that it isn't. So it's all about experiences, and that's why I do it.
But the thing with evidence is it doesn't necessarily point to what you might think it points to. You know, a guy with a bloody knife, it doesn't mean he did the killing. All that is evidence that he had the knife in his possession at some point. Yeah. That's all. Mm-hmm. So even if you did pick up something, like let's just say the equipment went off, it doesn't necessarily mean it's paranormal, does it?
No.
I mean, just because we can't explain it, it could have been background radiation from the Big Bang. Who knows?
Yeah.
And we wouldn't know that, would we?
No.
Yeah, neither would I. I mean, unless you had really sensitive instruments that could actually detect, that's actually this frequency or whatever. Well, you wouldn't know.
That's true.
It's impossible. But, it's, but yeah, look, Rob, have you felt, going back to sort of like, you know, bringing in different people in the tours, you know, you don't know but going past that, and obviously you've had some experiences with people you know that haven't really been in their right mind, I guess, if you put it that way, for a certain period of time, in a situation where they've opened themselves up spiritually. But what happens, you know, this is a question that I used to get a lot. Does anyone come home with you? What happens? What do you do? What do you do to stop that?
Sorry, are you talking about a spirit coming? Okay.
Yeah,
because
that's a big question that I get and have gotten in the past, is like, oh, how do you know they don't get in the car with you? And like, well, how do you know, like, and that's somebody, you know, it's funny because it's such a two-pronged, all these things, because, oh, I don't believe in this, but how do you know they didn't follow you? You know, like, it's like, well, what don't you believe in? Like, you're asking me that something you don't believe in. Yeah.
Well, like OHS, right? Yeah. Prevention's better than a cure, right?
Yeah.
So it all stems from how you go into an investigation or a paranormal night, what you do for protection or whatnot, stuff like that. And with that, it's more the belief more than the method, I think.
So it's your mindset, you'd
say? Yes,
yes.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. Okay. And people use crystals, sage, religion, whatever. It's all the belief, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right, actually. Yeah, belief, to me, belief is everything. It shapes what you do.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you something, Kiwi.
Sure.
I remember, and I don't know if you remember.
Oh, I remember. Bring it on.
You happy for me to bring it on?
Yeah.
So this probably started my interest and piqued my interest.
Can't believe I sowed that seed.
When I really think back to, we were what, 15 maybe? Maybe even younger.
No, I don't know. Yeah, 16 I think, actually. 15, 16.
I remember going to your house and using a Ouija board.
Yeah, so we did seances at my place. So just to give you the background, I met a girl at a martial arts class I used to go to, and she told me about it. So I went to her place. She was a bit older than us. I think I had a bit of a crush on her, to be honest. Her name's Kim. Anyway.
Hi, Kim.
Hope you're well.
What you been doing, Kim?
Well, actually, she's joining the police force from what I remember. Oh, very good. Yeah. But anyway, she invited me over to her place with, it was a big party with much older people, and they were doing a seance there. And, it was really fascinating. So I started doing them at my place. And so, look, seances have all been debunked, I think. But an interesting thing is my sister used to get energy balances at from a naturopath. And he was a really good guy. Like he was amazing, actually. He fixed things in me. He taught one of our friends who was a mentor of one of our best mates. Anyway, when she went to see him to get an energy balance, he said, "You've been doing seances, haven't you?" I thought that was really fascinating.
Wow.
He knew, right? But he just detected in her energy.
Yeah.
Another thing is, like, when my mum saw the Ouija board, she's like, "No, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Get rid of them." And when I say Ouija board, it's just a piece of paper with letters written on it.
That's right. I mean, looking back at that now, I'm like, oh, was that was obviously we didn't ask your parents' permission, and I'm glad that your mum stood up and said that. But I remember walking home from your house one day. It was like 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock at night, and then like we only lived like 150 meters away.
Yeah, about that. Yeah,
it was. I ran.
Yeah,
I was scared.
I was scared to go to the bathroom sometimes.
Yeah,
I was like, oh crap,
what have we done?
Yeah,
yeah. So it shows that you can really scare yourself.
Absolutely,
senseless.
And fear's a strong energy.
And we had the thing moving. Like, I don't know what was doing that.
It was probably us. I think it's
energy.
I've seen things on this topic. I think Lawrence Lung did a really good thing on it. If you try doing a seance blindfolded, it doesn't work. Why is that?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a really good point.
So it shows how strong the mind is.
Well, it shows how much we've got this unconscious motor reflex moving a coin or whatever you want to use.
Yeah.
So look, I guess that shows in me, like I'm quite a scientific person. I'm a logical person, but I want to believe. That's a thing. I've actually got a book here, one of Jared's books I'm using as a coaster. It's UFO magazine. UFO Encyclopedia.
And you want to flick
the
it
most
open?
comprehensive single volume UFO reference in print. Now,
that's not my book, I swear.
But that's the thing. I want to believe. And you were saying how much belief shapes things. And I'm embarrassed to say this, but as recently as when I was like 22 or something, or maybe even older, I was in this martial arts class, and the instructor was from a particular ethnic background, and they had this belief in this like a magical dwarf sort of thing that you could summon.
Yeah.
And I went along with it, thinking, "Oh my god, you can really do that!" I know that's so embarrassing to put this out there, but I want to just let people know how silly I am or how crazy I think it is.
Yeah.
But I just want to also convey to everybody how desperate I am to believe in something more. And when you have that desperation, you go along with things. And I can imagine what this has done to people in the past, what comes of it, and just that commitment to something, because you don't want to look foolish. It must have been this, but I'm I guess I'm able to say, well, look, I was wrong, It was me that wanted to believe.
Yeah, I want to believe in the dwarf.
Yeah. And a lot of cultures have these things, don't they?
Yeah, they do, don't they? They, like, I know different cultures, people that I know from different cultures have said to me, oh, you're doing that? Or you wouldn't do this? Or what about this? Or they've got their own, like, belief, or their own, it's even, like, goes to cryptids, and everything, and it must be something in it, like, every culture around the world before, we could jump on the internet and do anything. For example, has a Bigfoot, a version of a Bigfoot, or
indigenous cultures,
or has indigenous cultures have spirits,
ancient culture,
and there is a connection around the world that they're different, but it's weird. It really is weird. And when the deeper you dig, like if you flicked open these books that I've got here, and that we're using as coasters, you'd see that there's a spirit that is prevalent in India, and there's and then there's also a Bigfoot, and there's also a Loch Ness monster, and there's also a winged man. There's so much stuff to the paranormal that the deeper you dig, you just can't. Yeah.
Do you think it's because it symbolises something common to all of us with our consciousness? For example, the devil. Pretty much every culture has a devil. Mm-hmm. Now, every human I know has a devil inside them too. To me, that's not quite a coincidence,
Well, it's. I think sometimes, we're not meant to know these things too. Like, this is the thing. Like, we get a little taste of things,
that's it.
And, I don't think we're meant to know.
Yeah. That's why my driving force isn't to work things out. Like, most paranormal groups, like the large majority of them, are in it for the research to try and find out what ghosts are and why they're here and blah, blah, blah. The logging things. But A, I'm not smart enough. B, I haven't got the time. And C, I don't think we're meant to know anyway.
So when you're out there, Rob, what are you trying to get out of it?
Connection and experience.
Connection with what?
That's what... Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. I know I'm talking to something that's not there a lot of the time, and that's fascinating to me. And I don't really care. I don't care what they are. I know that it's crazy to